We're going to go through a end range wrist flexion axial rotation. So for this exercise, essentially what I'm going to do is position my wrist into wrist flexion near its end range. So end range being somewhere around here for me, passively a little further. And then what I'm simply going to do, okay, so I've set up, I've guided myself into now my end range for wrist flexion. I'm going to turn my elbow pit one way as best as possible, and then turn my elbow pit the other way as best as possible. This is actually very much a passive application in the sense of what is happening at the wrist. I am stretching around the wrist by moving that elbow pit internally and externally, but how I'm moving that elbow pit is actually coming more from my shoulder joint. So I'm thinking about turning this area and it's coming from up here for majority of the work. What the intention and what this exercise will simply do is just having this wrist biased in end range for flexion as we now turn the elbow pit. We'll just lengthen various areas of wrist flexion as we do this. So it's a nice way just to kind of help open up via a bit more rotation of the wrist in its end range for flexion. Again, this could also be done by manipulating nearby joints. So I could opt to maybe hold on to something so I can curl my fingers around it, try to make a fist, and then do exactly the same thing. By making this little modification, what it's doing is lengthening a little bit more everything that's connected on this side of the forearm as I now perform the task, making it a little bit more challenging. So I feel more limitations, especially when I get towards that end range for rotation of the elbow. I start to feel more of the limitations due to having the fingers curled a little bit. So that is a variable you could add and explore with this exercise.